So you're a first-time home buyer and you're trying to figure out what you should do next. And um, so there are a couple of things that you should be mindful of when buying or getting ready to purchase. And I think, a lot of times um, we say these things, not knowing that not everybody has, the inside on how to get ready to buy a home. And as a result, some people might be a little bashful, but they also might be a little surprised at the chain of events that happen. So, first of all, I mean, the first thing you should do before anything else is to get, your mortgage and your financing in order. But if you have some issues with credit, or if you don't have enough down payment, I think those would be the first steps you would take. So initially, I would say call someone, have a chat, figure out how much down payment you need, how much closing cost, how that would work out for you, and then figure out your income. So here's a good rule. Typically, they say the rule of four. And so if you make $100,000, multiply that into four. If you make 150, so on and so forth, and multiply it into four, and you'll know how much, give or take, how much mortgage you would get. Now, the other thing too is there are a couple of things that, it's just not good credit. It's good credit, it's your repayment, it's how much you borrow, your total capacity. All of that goes into play, and there's no such formula that you can pick out and say, okay, I'm going to use this formula. So it really kind of comes down to a mortgage broker or your bank running those numbers, and working it out for you, right? So once you do that piece, at least you know what ballpark you're looking in, and therefore you're not disappointed when looking at homes. The other thing to keep in mind is that, when we go through the process of looking at homes, you're going to need, once you start looking at homes, so let's say you've now got your financing in order, you've got your down payment, you know how much down payment you're going to need, you know how much closing cost you're going to need. And now we're going to move into looking at homes and putting an offer in. And so once you start getting into that stage, what I would suggest is that you actually understand that when you put or write an offer, you're going to need some liquid cash that accompanies that offer. So a lot of times you have to put a deposit. They hold on to that deposit. It comes out of the total. And the higher the deposit, the stronger the offer is, right? Now, as much as you may want to put the lowest deposit possible, sometimes some sellers will say they want a minimum of 5%, or some will want a little bit more, because they want to make sure that you don't walk away from it at the end of it all, and that you close on this deal. So when it comes down to deposit, I know sometimes when you're a first-time home buyer, or if you haven't purchased a home for a long time, sometimes you forget that if you have this money sitting in RSPs, or if you have this money sitting in a different sort of account, you kind of have to have it accessible. And so a lot of times we'll say to people, put some of that money that you're going to need for a deposit into an account that you can access as soon as possible, so that, because as soon as your offer is accepted, you're going to need that deposit turned in less than 48 hours. In less than 24 hours, not 48 hours. So it's crucial to have that money liquid, or so that you can have that bank draft made up or the wire transfer done, and get it deposited in time. So those are some of the things. Then in addition to all of that, you're going to need closing costs. And I think, the closing costs differ a little bit between, brand new homes versus assignments, versus, an assignment. If someone bought it as an investment property, you're going to be on the hook for the HST A lot of people don't understand the implications of closing costs and what that involves. Now, if you're buying a brand new home from a builder or an assignment, what you have to understand is, in addition to um, potential HST, which the max rebate is $24,000, which means that's what you're going to be on the hook for at least, and some. And so in addition to that, there's developmental fees. There's, some of it is capped, some of it isn't. If you're buying an assignment, sometimes the assignments are free, but they have a legal amount that they would charge you. Sometimes there's a $10,000 or $8,000 cap on assignments. It all depends what's in the builder's agreement with the seller or the purchaser at that time. And also, what else are you going to need? So once you close, and this is a brand new house, you're going to need a few other things like drapes. You might need driveway, top coat of the driveway that you have to pay for. You'll need fencing. Fences are not included. Now, grass is typically included. Driveway, you have to typically, sometimes you have to pay. It all depends on what's written in. So all of those extras, you have to keep in mind at some point when you're going to get those extras put in, you're going to have to pay for them. So these are some of the costs associated with it. I'm not telling you about the cost to deter you. What I'm telling you about the cost is so that you're prepared. You take a good accounting for all of this money you're going to need, and then you're prepared when it comes to closing and what that involves. Thank you for watching.